and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Speaking of which, let's get started with our first segment of the day. So, folks, Biden was never going to help out working class citizens. Now, I've said this on the show. I didn't vote for Biden, not only in the primaries, but I also didn't support him in the general election because, similar to Clinton, he is a neoliberal corporatist. He's one of the many architects, both the Democrats and Republicans. A lot of them are the architects of this neoliberal nightmare we're in. And of course, corporate media is now spinning their little tales saying, well, Joe Biden and his administration are just angry with progressives. Well, they're angry with voters, and they're doing this little back and forth thing where they're also angry with the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the same Congressional Progressive Caucus that bent over backwards, put their heads up their own wazoo, and really didn't do anything to hold Biden's feet to the fire. So we got this video from Case Study QB where the Biden administration is not doing anything to protect women's reproductive rights. You know, because they're not going to do anything. Biden won't do it. Remember, this is the same Joe Biden, a Democrat, who was against Roe v. Wade. He's not going to help codify it. So here we have our wonderful people from Morning Joe, talking about how the Biden administration is just so angry and that and that progressives are upset that he's not FDR. He never was FDR. Let's play this video.
A lot to talk about here. Meanwhile, the White House is defending the president's response to the Supreme Court ruling on abortion from progressives who say he hasn't done enough. White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield told the Washington Post, quote, Joe Biden's goal in responding to Dobbs is not to satisfy some activists who have been consistently out of step with the mainstream of the Democratic Party. It's to deliver help to women who are in danger and assemble a broad-based coalition to defend a woman's right to choose. A senior staffer from the 2020 Biden-Harris campaign said she and other activists are offended by that statement.
These people going into the street saying that we need a bodily autonomy, that is the excitement that Democrats need right now ahead of the midterms, and to demonize them and say, you know, they're not mainstream. Well, abortion is a very popular issue in the country, and it goes across Democratic and Republican lines. I think it was an unforced error, and I hope they address it. I'm not sure they will, but I took offense to it, and a lot of people have.
So I'm trying to understand what exactly, what can he be doing right now that he's not doing, Joe?
Well, that's what the White House is saying in that statement.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm sure a lot of thought went into that statement because Jonathan Lemire, as you know, there has been for quite some time, you've had the progressive left in the Democratic Party. And let's just say it right here, the progressive left who hated him in the primaries, the progressive left who cheered his losses in Iowa, the progressive left.
Let's pause it here, all right? The one thing that corporate media gets wrong, and a lot of these activists and blue checkmark people, what they get wrong, or what they somehow seemingly forget, is that during the 2020 election cycle, Biden barely won. He won it by the skin of his own teeth, if that's still his original teeth, after all. But Biden never really had the people's support. I mean, it was a tight race between two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And the thing is, a lot of real progressives, independents, free-thinking people were not going to just be a sucker and vote for Team Red or Team Blue. Sadly, the propaganda of, we got to stop Trump, so you got to vote blue no matter who, I guess it really worked on a lot of people. Hey, everyone that was browbeaten, yelled at, because, they were considering not voting for Biden, and then they did vote for Biden. How's that working out? I mean, Roe v. Wade died under a Democratic administration. The kids are still in cages. We're sending billions of dollars to this ridiculous war in Ukraine. The military-industrial complex is still booming. People are being evicted from their homes and apartments. I mean, nothing has fundamentally changed. It's gotten worse. The Biden-Harris administration is still continuing on a lot of Donald Trump's foreign and domestic policies. Policies, mind you, that Donald Trump inherited from Barack Obama, whom Barack Obama inherited from George Bush Jr., George Bush Jr. inheriting from Bill Clinton, and so on into this great neoliberal nightmare that we're in. So the thing is, of course progressives weren't going to support Biden. And anyone with half a brain cell could see for the fact that the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, was never, ever going to listen to Congressional Progressive Caucus or Bernie Sanders or anyone else. So everyone shocked and surprised and offended that Biden and his administration aren't doing jack. Well, you need to wake up. They weren't going to do anything. This is something that Hard Lens Media talked about. This is something our audience already knows. All of you know this. But this is the stuff that we're being bombarded with right now. Corporate media, the authoritative sources. Let's play the rest of the video.
Who cheered his losses in New Hampshire. The progressive left said he was too old, he was too moderate, there was no way he could win. The progressive left that was shocked when he won big in South Carolina, when he won big across the South, when he won big and ended up sweeping his way to victory in the Democratic primaries. So there has been in Washington, I can't speak for all over the country, but in Washington, there has been the question, why did Joe Biden run as a moderate and then get to Washington, D.C., and worry so much about what the most progressive elements of the party were saying? And I think the White House finally just had enough, saying, oh, okay, you're going to keep criticizing us about everything? Well, listen, we're going to do what we can do, but stop acting like I can just wave.
They've been doing that since day one. This whole idea that the progressives were pushing back, like AOC and Bernie and Pramila Jayapal were fighting back, that is the biggest load of crap I have ever heard. It's so stupid. It's dumb. It is dumb. The fact that, again, this is what's being presented to the American people, that the progressive movement in Congress was doing anything. They were not challenging the administration. AOC said that Biden was exceeding expectations. Bernie Sanders was bending over backwards like the cuck that he is to say that Biden is his good friend. I mean, they're not challenging him. I mean, they're kind of upset about Roe v. Wade, but they're profiting off it like all the Democrats are doing right now. They're doing fundraisers off of it, scaring people, even though they could have codified it, but they didn't. Let's play the rest of the video.
A magic wand and suddenly make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again. There's that, and you've reported on it an awful lot. Talk about that tension between moderate Democrats, between the most progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and how this statement played out and why the White House finally just had enough.
Yeah, the progressive left, long time, as you just outlined, not enamored with Joe Biden. But when Biden was elected and they saw this an opportunity to do big things and his agenda, White House aides were pretty blunt about it. They wanted to be FDR. They wanted to be LBJ. And that meant adopting some of these progressive platforms. And not all of them came to be. As we know, part of the president's legislative agenda fell on the rocks, crashed against the rocks last winter. But there's been a real source of tension here. The White House repeatedly has tried to reach out to the progressives. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain in particular is the emissary from the West Wing to the Progressive Caucus. And I think there's been a growing sense of frustration in the White House. The aides that I've talked to confirm this, that they have been really almost fed up with some of the demands from the left. Like, of course, they understand them on some issues, on other things, far less so. And I think that statement this weekend was a bit of a tell from the White House saying, look, we're doing what we can on abortion. We're doing what we can on guns, on voting rights.
Can we get a widescreen of me real quick? Here's what the Biden-Harris administration and the Democratic Party is doing right now about protecting women's rights in America, or anything else, any other policy issue. In fact, if you're a Democrat voter or Republican lawmaker, here's what the politicians are doing in Washington, D.C. right now. That's what they're doing. By the way, hope you all like that acting. That's a spot-on impression of all your lawmakers in Washington, D.C. Anyways, let's play the rest of the video if we can.
And that is frustrating to some Democrats. Now, to be fair, it wasn't just the progressive left upset at that Kate Bedingfield statement. It was a widespread, a number of Democrats across the party were frustrated by that because they feel like abortion rights is not just a progressive issue. There are some things that are in the camp that progressives want more than other Democrats. Abortion rights pretty much has unanimous support across the Democratic Party. And there were a number of Democrats across the spectrum who felt like they were being marginalized by that statement. It'll be interesting to see if the White House says more about that in the days ahead. And one that's very careful with their messaging. This one was not well received. But to the broader point, we heard more executive orders from the president on Friday on abortion rights. They're exploring others still, potentially the federal emergency, the health moment. But
all right, we're going to stop it with this. Stop it with this right here. Because, look, Biden's not FDR. He's not going to fight for you. But yet, the Congressional Progressive Caucus and Bernie Sanders, people like Pramila Jayapal, they're still holding on to this audacity of hope that maybe they could still convincingly lie to you and think that, oh, if we say certain things on the media, people will listen and show that we have power. Here's a video of Pramila Jayapal being the idiot that she always is. Remember, the same Pramila Jayapal that said, "Oh yeah, Joe Manchin, I trust him. He'll work with us," even though Build Back Better was going to be nothing but crap anyways. I mean, $7 trillion down to 1.5, 1.2, and then became 0. I mean, progressives. This is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Let's play this video. Shout again the case study QB.
Now to abortion rights, with the president signing that executive order Friday aiming to protect access to abortion medication, also emergency contraception. But yesterday, as I'm sure you saw, the activists were really present outside the White House. They were demanding more action from the federal government. How much power does the president's executive order have after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade? I mean, is the Biden administration effectively meeting the moment?
Alex, I don't think that President Biden is wrong when he says that he's going to do everything he can at the White House. But ultimately, we need to have 2 more. And I want to be clear about the path here. We now have the president and at least 48 senators who have said that they're willing to overturn the filibuster, at least in specific cases for voting rights and now for codifying Roe v. Wade.
Yeah,
that is the path that we need to have at the end.
Let's stop it here. I'm not going to subjugate you guys anymore with Pramila Jayapal, because you know what she was going to say? We need to get 2 more Democrats in the U.S. Senate to do something with the filibuster. Remember, not only Manchin and Sinema, but there were 6 other Democrats that did their little curtsy thumbs down for the $15 minimum wage increase. See, the Democrats will always find a way to crap their pants willingly. So they're doing what, the good old Ted Nugent did, when he crapped his pants to not get drafted into NAM. Yeah, same thing. Democrats will crap their pants. And they'll say, oh, well, you guys need to vote harder. So here's the thing. When you have people like Pramila Jayapal parrot the line, that Biden is working hard, here's what Biden's doing. Because I got some little critiques about how this is back. Here we go. This is Joe Biden. Hey, Jack. I want my ice cream. Hey, Jack. Why are the people upset? I beat the communists. Hey, Jack. What's going on? Am I the president? That's Joe Biden. That's the Democratic Party. That's every single politician in Washington, D.C. They don't like you. They don't think about you. They don't respect you. And if you vote blue, you're a sucker.